In the misty reaches of Oregon's forest belt, tucked between forgotten backroads and whispering pine trees, lived a 16-year-old girl named Anya. To the outside world, she looked like any small-town teenager. Worn hoodie, beat-up sneakers, a second-hand backpack slung over one shoulder. But behind her tired smile was a life shaped by hardship. She wasn't just a teenager. She was the caretaker, the breadwinner, the fighter in a quiet battle no one saw. Her mother, once a vibrant woman full of light and laughter, now lay tethered to their aging sofa, bones visible under her skin, weakened by a chronic illness that had taken hold nearly a year ago. Medical insurance had long run out. Friends had disappeared. The fridge buzzed empty more often than full, and the power bill had become a cruel game of roulette. Before we continue our story further, take a second to subscribe to Chronicles of Wild. Like the video and comment below where in the world you're watching from and what time it is. Let's see how far this story travels. Now, back to the story. Since her father's death in a workplace accident 6 years earlier, Anya had carried more than any child should. At just 16, she worked 3 part-time jobs. She waited tables at a rundown diner after school, cleaned motel rooms on weekends, and delivered groceries in between. She barely slept. Her grades were slipping, but none of it mattered if her mom didn't get her medication. On one rainy Friday, after weeks of scraping together every penny, washing dishes until her hands cracked, skipping her own meals, Anya finally had enough to afford the refill. $182. Felt like a fortune. She left the pharmacy clutching her backpack tightly, the precious bag of pills zipped inside. The town bus had stopped running early that night, and calling an Uber was out of the question. So she took the shortcut home, a narrow trail through the woods behind town. Twilight had fallen. The trees whispered above her. Her shoes sank into the damp earth. She walked faster, clutching her hood against the chill. Then it happened. Footsteps behind her. Quick, deliberate. 2 men stepped onto the path. One tall and lean, the other stockier with a limp. They were older, maybe in their 30s. Hooded, hungry-looking. "Hey there, sweetheart," the tall one sneered. "What's in the bag?" Anya's heart punched against her ribs. She turned to run but slipped on the wet leaves. They grabbed her. "Please, it's medicine. For my mom. Please." The stocky man yanked her backpack. The other pushed her to the ground. Her head struck a rock. Her vision blurred. Everything hurt. Then a sound split the night. A growl. Not human. Deep. Primal. Out of the shadows charged a massive black German shepherd. He hit the first man like a battering ram. Teeth tore flesh. Screams filled the forest. The second man stumbled backward, swinging a broken branch. The dog turned, snarled, and lunged again. Within seconds, both men were gone. One limping into the brush, the other howling as he fled. Silence returned, broken only by Anya's ragged breathing. The dog turned toward her. His fur was muddy and streaked with blood. Not his. His eyes locked on hers. Not wild. Not threatening. Just aware. She sat up slowly. "Hey, boy. Easy. I'm okay." He stepped closer, sat down beside her. Around his neck hung a tattered collar. Attached was a rusted military tag. K9 Unit U.S. Army. Name Veer. Tears filled her eyes. "You're a soldier." She reached out. He let her. She buried her fingers in his fur and sobbed until her voice cracked. That night, she brought Veer home. He was in worse shape than she thought. Veer was skin and bones under the thick fur, every rib visible. His right leg had a limp. His left eye was clouded. She realized he hadn't just been a lost dog in the woods. He had been abandoned, forgotten. Anya took him to the local shelter the next morning, but the vet recognized the tag. "This one's military. He's been through things you and I can't imagine. His handler must have passed. These dogs don't recover from that easily." The shelter was full. No one wanted to take in an old, injured war dog. The staff suggested sending him to a state facility. Anya couldn't do it, so she stayed. Every day that week, she visited Veer at the shelter after work. She brought him leftover chicken, warm towels, and medicine from the vet. She sat with him on the cold floor talking about school, her mom, even her dad. Veer didn't respond at first. He barely moved, just stared at the wall. But by the third visit, his ears perked when he heard her voice. By the fifth, he tried to stand. On the seventh, when she opened the door, he wagged his tail. That was it. She brought him home. She made him a bed next to her mom's couch. She cleaned his wounds, gave him his pills, brushed out his matted fur. She whispered to him at night that he was safe now, that he was needed, that he mattered. In Veer, Anya saw someone like her, forgotten, grieving, barely holding on, but still alive. And like her, he began to heal. He changed everything. First, it was just his presence. The way he guarded the front porch. How he paced the house at night, checking doors and windows. The way he lay by her mother's side, sensing every cough, every tremor. Anya started sleeping again. She didn't wake up from every creak. She didn't jump at shadows. She began to heal. Veer seemed to understand. Not just commands, but emotions. He sensed her fear before it showed on her face. When she cried quietly in the kitchen, thinking no one could hear, he would sit beside her, resting his head on her lap until the tears stopped. He was more than a pet. He was a presence. A quiet sentinel who seemed to carry the weight of memory behind his amber eyes. Every Sunday, Anya began taking Veer for walks to a nearby field. They'd sit under a lonely maple tree for hours. She talked. He listened. Sometimes she brought old photos of her father. She told Veer about how her dad used to build birdhouses, how he'd whistle in the morning, how he'd carry her on his shoulders. One day, Veer barked at an old army commercial playing on TV. Anya noticed his posture stiffen. He was remembering. She was sure of it. Curious, she wrote to a military archive. Weeks later, a package arrived. Inside was a faded service photo. A younger Veer, standing proudly beside a unit in desert fatigues. A note, MIA during transport, presumed lost. K9 Veer saved 3 lives during Operation Hawkeye. Decorated for bravery. She framed it, put it beside her father's picture. Veer, it seemed, had lost something too. A squad, a purpose, a home. In Anya, he found it again. Life began to shift. Word of Veer's heroism spread beyond their town. A local veteran center offered to pay for his food and vet bills. A pet therapist volunteered to help with his recovery. And the community that once ignored Anya now waved when she passed. At school, she was no longer invisible. Students asked about Veer. Teachers encouraged her writing. One day, she shared her story in class. About her mom, her father, the night in the woods. When she finished, there wasn't a dry eye. You should write a book, her teacher said. That night, she started a journal. She called it Chronicles of Wild. Stories of survival, hope, and the hidden guardians we never see coming. Months turned into a year. Her mom's condition stabilized. A home nurse helped a few times a week. Anya graduated with honors. She even got a college acceptance letter, something she never dreamed of. The day before she left for orientation, she sat on the porch beside Veer, tears in her eyes. I don't know what I'll do without you, she whispered. Veer licked her hand, then rested his head on her knee. She didn't go alone. The college allowed service animals. Veer got his own bed in the dorm, his own student ID. Veer Rogers, emotional support guardian. He walked with her through campus, sat beside her in the library, waited patiently during lectures. And when she published her first essay in a national magazine, titled Saved by a Soldier, her inbox flooded. Thank you. My dad was a K9 handler too. I cried reading this. Please tell us more. So she did. She kept writing, kept telling their story. Because some stories aren't meant to be buried in the woods or forgotten in military records. Some stories live in the space between tragedy and hope. Some stories begin with a girl, a forest trail, and a dog who refused to leave her behind. And sometimes the ones we save are the ones who save us right back.